I'm Kurt. I'm the sales director for Cloud9 Insight. We'll just kick off with what we're going to cover today. So today we'll focus on particularly the professional services as a sector and how we're supporting professional services organizations with their dynamic solutions. So we'll spend just a few minutes talking about some of the key trends and some of the challenges that we're seeing. Then going to show you a few of the dynamics capabilities that are really helping this sector to achieve more with technology, and then really talk more about how we can partner together as Cloud9, yourselves as resellers, and to be able to sell Dynamics to your customers and potential customers. We'll then look at what the actual opportunity is for Dynamics, and we'll then finish off with a bit of a case study and where we go from here. So we're here today to talk about professional services, and we wanted to just raise three of the key trends that we're seeing when working with people in this organization or organizations in this sector. The first is one I'm sure that you've heard everybody banging on about at the moment, which is the skills gap. Everyone is fighting for talent at the moment, but how can technology help that? Well, what we're seeing is that if you can't hire more resource, then perhaps you need to do more with the current people that you have. So we're seeing a real need and a want for automation. And this is really a skills gap kind of busting way of giving your team and your people more time back and effectively creating more capacity. So some of those automations can be simple tips like document templates or email templates and automation, or it can be combining teams together, such as sales and delivery, by automating the handover process and triggering further processes as part of those automations. So it's a real key part of many solutions that we're implementing at the moment. And a key trend for why those solutions are being purchased is how can we either save time, how can we save cost, how can we save investment in headcount with the difficulty in the economic situation at the moment. So automation and using technology is a fantastic way of putting that forward. The second one is, again, I'm sure a common challenge for yourselves and also all professional services organizations, is a silo between sales and delivery. So the most common challenge perhaps is that what's sold isn't always what can be delivered. And this tends to be across two different areas. So the first is capability. The services sold aren't necessarily completely in line with the capability that the team has. And the second one is capacity. So promises are perhaps made on timelines that maybe aren't achievable based on the available resource that there is. So the issue that professional services organizations is that their product, their people, they're finite resources. There's only so many consultants and man hours that a professional services organization has. So how does technology support this? Well, on capability, the first piece is around that there's two features that come with Dynamics that are available. The first is playbooks and sequences. This is a way that sales managers and sales directors can implement a trusted journey of conversations and scripts and prompts for the salespeople to follow. So we see that this is a great trend of reducing the risk of mis-selling by keeping people on the straight and narrow. The second one is around proficiency models for resource management. So the system will house a picture of what resources that you have, what skills that they have, and therefore that can lead to what solutions or consultancy can be sold at that particular time. On the flip side, with capacity, the tools are there to assist, which is including a schedule board. A schedule board is a live view of what resources are available both there and then, and also coming up in the future. So from the delivery side, they can also use these tools to understand what resources are available, what potential bookings we can make, but they can also look up into the pipeline to see what their projects are, what element of probability that they are for those closes, and therefore they can pre-plan what resource might be available and might be needed to deliver of those projects. The final trend that we're seeing is feast and famine. Again, another real common challenge for the professional services industry. In many of the professional and most successful consultancies that we see, the majority, if not all of their team can be billable resources. So this means that when that professional services organization is busy, which is the feast, the team are so busy servicing the clients and fulfilling their projects that have been sold that they're not delivering the day-to-day tasks. They're not being able to drive new projects into the top of the pipeline, like prospecting, account management, and marketing. So more and more businesses are now automating their marketing by using campaign automations and other customer journey tools. That means that they're running many of these automated, targeted, and tailored journeys to effectively market while they sleep, or maybe market while they service their other clients. So that ensures that the pipeline doesn't dry up and that they don't enter the famine, as it were, which is of course the negative of these two. So I'd be really keen to hear of any questions or any thoughts on any of those trends that we're seeing. They're probably the three core ones that we're seeing across that industry for now. So the next thing we're going to look at today is we're going to go into, well, how does it work? And we're not going to go deep on a full Dynamics demo, as it were, but we're going to show three or a few different features that are really helping professional services organizations to do better with their business and day to day. So I'm just going to switch over the screen share, and we're going to pull up a couple of bits for you to see. Okay, so the first one, I'm just going to revert straight back to that feast and that famine challenge that we're seeing. And this is a tool as part of a marketing module that sits inside of Dynamics 365, which gives marketing teams and organizations the ability to automate the marketing that they are doing. So if we think about the feast and the famine, as we said, the feast is when everybody is so busy, it's that they haven't got the time to prospect, they haven't got time to reach out to new clients. But what that means is if they're not doing that activity, there will become a time where those projects they're currently working on finish, and they then don't have enough projects to continue growing the business forward. So using tools like this, which is the campaign automation that's available, it means that they can automate that marketing process and keep those leads coming in at the top of the pipeline and nurturing them through into a point of hopefully closing and winning new projects. So we'll just talk you through how these work. Here's a template journey effectively that we've set up. And the first part is that they have clicked on a particular email interaction. Now, any of these triggers you see on the right-hand side can be the start of those journeys. So whether a customer has submitted an online form, or they've visited a web page, or they've clicked on a social link, for example, any of those triggers can therefore start one of these automations. And you can see that you can go in different ways. So the positive perhaps here is that they have interacted, and that means that we put them in a particular campaign, and then following on from that, we'd see if they downloaded an ebook, and then if they did, then we would send them another piece of content. So that would be the positive way. But perhaps they haven't interacted, so we need to send them a reminder email. We need to again check if they've clicked and downloaded our white paper, and we can keep following this. So it's really common for clients to have multiple of these working to create tailored marketing automation campaigns, which is really hoping to reduce the risk of the potential famine that we spoke about. And you've got a number of different actions that can be put in as part of these, such as email sends or creating tasks for salespeople, sending SMS, and various different things. And of course, you've got your wait times as well. So that's one of the features that professional services organizations are really using to buck the trend of the feast and famine and market still and fill that pipeline up, even while they're really busy with other things. Okay, so the next piece is, well, how do we then perhaps start to manage those customers in a bit of a better way? And what we've now got is a lead, which is part of the sales process effectively. So if you imagine that, go back to that journey and somebody's clicked on a link or somebody's submitted a form, for example, we spoke in the trends how these sequences and this tool over here, which is called the Sales Accelerator, is really helping clients to do more, do things faster with their leads, but also follow trusted steps. So thus taking away the risk of mis-selling. So we can see here that we've got Haley, we've got some lead scoring going on here. So this helps when our team are really busy to be able to see what do we want to focus on. And we can see here that, you know, Lavona is on a 65 score, whereas Gabriella is on an 84. So that's maybe if I haven't got tons of time, they're the ones that I want to be spending more time on. The sequences part then in here is, well, what do we need our sales team to do? Or what have we proven in our experience that is most successful? And it could be that we send them a templated email, for example, and, you know, we move that along and we've done something there. And then we need to wait 5 days. And the following thing would be that we send them an email, again, templated. And then step 3 would be we call the customer. So this is a way that our team can follow a trusted way of hopefully converting as many leads as we can into those projects. Now, the accelerator on the left is a really just nice to-do list, and you can just quickly jump into the different leads as we go, see who they are, see their lead scores, and see what needs to be done. So from a seller's point of view, typically our sellers in this space are perhaps dealing with multiple opportunities. There's a lot of chasing, there's a lot of sending case studies and content and things like that. So these sequences are great ways of just making sure that everything is happening. And of course, the accelerator tool for sellers means they can quickly jump between different opportunities and different leads to be able to work en masse and to work with multiple ops at the same time. So let's say, for example, that we might be thinking about this particular customer buying from us. They might be buying a project, but we don't want to missell them. We don't want to suggest we can do things faster than we might be able to. So we might enable our salespeople to have access to a tool which is called the schedule board. Now, the schedule board is a live interactive view where you can gain visibility of what your resources are doing, which is down here on the left-hand side. And as I said, what jobs are they doing and what projects are they part of? So these blocks here are their tasks, and thus giving us a sense of availability. So, you know, if we're potentially looking to sell an initial consultancy, which is an hour and a half, we can see that Alison has actually got some time. Yeah, we might not give her a lunch break, for example, but it's not completely blocked out. But if we were looking to book 2-3 days worth of consultancy, you know, perhaps we need to look a little bit further ahead. So this is a great way of our front end team getting a look into the live and trusted availability of our resources. And of course, as we go further into that project management and project tracking, we have the ability for our project managers to manage all of their resources in one place and to, you know, pick tasks up and move them around and book new things in and various different pieces from here. So our resources can be full employed staff, they can be contacts, they can be equipment, they can be various different things. And, you know, if you really want to, you can get into doing things like tracking them on maps and various different pieces as well. So if there's an availability or a priority piece too, then there's a lot of value here for that live view. So we go a little bit along the process now, and we'll look at, well, who are these resources? And in this world, we have our resource who is Jim, and Jim, we can track from here is how much he costs. We can see like what time zones he's in, but we can also start to track what Jim is good at. So we have these characteristics and we have these categories which we can link to Jim to be able to quickly see what best resources might be available for particular jobs. So in our world, in this world here with Jim, we can see that Jim is an excellent consultant. We can see that he's good at training. So that will help us when it comes to our schedule board to be able to see who might be the best resource for the job. But this also helps the salespeople. So if we come back to our trend about the silo, this will give sellers an understanding of, well, I can see Jim's available on the schedule board, but what does Jim actually do and what's he good at? Because the larger the organization gets, you might not have the possibility to know all of your resources inside out. So it gives you that one single place and availability to see them. We might also want to then get into managing a project. And one of the key challenges that we've seen, as we mentioned, is that silo between delivery and sales. So what happens when a sale is made and a conversion is won effectively? Well, in times gone by, perhaps you'd have to pick up the data, you'd have to go to another building or give somebody a call and then start that project journey in another system. Well, in our world of dynamics, we have the ability to move from sales into projects, all as part of one process. So if we go back along our process here, we'll be moving into a sales stage. And as we then get closer to the sale or the sign off, this is giving that project team much better capability and visibility of what's coming from up the pipeline. So our projects can be managed with who they're for, they can be managed with deliverables and tasks, we can manage financials. There's lots of different things we can do here. We've also managed project templates. So a really common requirement for professional services organizations is, well, instead of manually writing out each individual task that we're doing, can that be templated? And this is the automation piece, saving people time, whether it's that we apply a template to this project and it pre-fills all of the jobs and the tasks that needs to be done, or that we reach the end of a project and we need to send a project sign-off. So this again could be a Word document that's generated with an email template as well. So we're then stepping a bit further back to those trends of automation. And then finally, it's, well, what's coming, as we've said, and this is really presented nicely in terms of the forecasting tool. So we're just going to look at this one person in particular, who's Megan, but we have the capability to look at this forecast across an entire team, across an entire business, an entire territory, or even in a particular product or service that we're selling. And this forecast tool is giving both our sales managers, but also our project managers, the ability to see what projects are in the pipeline, what potential days are that need to be delivered. And these are what we call forecast categories. So we can then see how confident how confident the sellers might be that these might actually close as projects, and therefore we would have to resource them. So this is again bridging that gap and bridging the silo between sales and delivery, and giving those resource managers an understanding of what resource commitment that we might have to come. Okay. So for those of you that haven't seen Dynamics before, there are hundreds of other features and functions that it does, but those are some real key features and functions that the professional services organizations that we work with are really starting to use and adopt.